The morning sun filtered through the tall pine trees as Jack Miller drove his Ranger truck down the narrow dirt road. The radio crackled with routine messages from other rangers in Yellowstone National Park. Jack had been working as a park ranger for 5 years now, and he enjoyed the quiet life surrounded by nature. "Miller here. I'm checking the North Trail today," he said into the radio. "Copy that, Jack. Watch out for the storm they're saying might roll in," replied Nancy from the main office. Jack smiled to himself. The weather report had mentioned a small chance of rain, but the sky looked clear to him. He parked his truck at the trailhead and grabbed his backpack. The trail today would take him deep into a remote section of the park where few visitors ever went. As Jack hiked through the woods, he noticed something strange. The birds had stopped singing. The forest was unusually quiet. He looked up through gaps in the trees and saw weird lights dancing in the sky. "That's odd," he muttered. "Looks like northern lights, but we're too far south." The lights grew brighter, shifting from green to blue to purple. Jack pulled out his phone to take a picture, but the screen went black. His radio wasn't working either. A high-pitched sound filled the air, growing louder until Jack had to cover his ears. Then he saw it, a streak of light cutting across the sky, leaving a trail of glowing particles. Whatever it wasn't a meteor. It moved too slowly, almost like it was being controlled. The object disappeared behind a hill about half a mile away, and a dull boom echoed through the trees. Jack knew he should call for help, but with his phone and radio dead, he had no choice but to check it out himself. He ran toward where he had seen the object go down, his heart pounding in his chest. After 20 minutes of hard hiking, Jack smelled something burning. He slowed his pace and moved carefully through the trees until he reached a small clearing. What he saw made him freeze in his tracks. A strange object about the size of a small car sat in a shallow crater. It wasn't made of metal like Jack had expected. Instead, it looked like a giant egg made of crystal that glowed with a soft blue light. Parts of it had cracked open, and wisps of smoke rose from the broken edges. Jack approached slowly, looking for any signs of fire that might spread to the forest. That's when he heard a groan coming from inside the crystal egg. Someone was inside. The largest crack in the crystal widened, and a slender arm reached out. The arm was covered in what looked like blue skin that shimmered, like fish scales when it caught the light. Jack hesitated only a moment before rushing forward to help. "Hey, are you okay in there?" he called out, reaching the edge of the crater. The being inside pulled itself halfway out of the crystal pod. Jack's mouth fell open. It looked almost human, a slender female form with delicate features, but her skin was a deep blue that shifted colors like the northern lights he had seen earlier. Her eyes were large and completely black, and her hair looked like strands of silver wire. She spoke, but the sounds were like nothing Jack had ever heard. Clicks and musical tones that his human ears couldn't make sense of. The alien woman, because that's what she had to be, seemed frustrated by his lack of understanding. She reached back into the pod and pulled out a small device that looked like a silver collar. She put it around her neck and tapped it twice. "Can you understand now?" The words came out stilted and mechanical, but definitely in English. Jack nodded, his mind racing. "Yes, are you hurt? What? Who are you?" The alien woman tried to stand but winced in pain. "My designation is Lyra. I am scout from the Kalurian civilization." She looked around at the trees and sky. "This is Earth, correct?" "Yeah, this is Earth. Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, to be exact." Jack couldn't believe he was having this conversation. You're really an alien," Lyra nodded. "Yes, my ship damaged. Communications offline." She pointed to her leg, which was bent at a strange angle. "I am injured." Jack knew he should report this. There were probably protocols for first contact with aliens, but his radio was still dead, and Lyra was clearly hurt. He made a quick decision. "I have a cabin not far from here. I can help you hide there until you can fix your ship." He gestured to the crystal pod. "Will others come looking for you?" "Not if cannot call them." Lyra said, her translator struggling with the grammar. Need to repair communicator first. Jack helped Lyra to her feet. She was lighter than she looked, almost as if her bones were hollow. With his support, she could walk, though she moved with a limp. Jack looked around nervously, hoping no hikers would come by and see them. We need to hurry. It's about a mile to my cabin, and we should get you inside before anyone sees you. Lyra nodded, her skin shifting to a darker blue that Jack somehow knew meant pain or worry. Yes. Your people not ready for official contact would cause problems. For the next 7 days, Jack kept Lyra hidden in his cabin. He called in sick to work, claiming he had caught a bad flu. During that time, he learned more about Lyra and her people. The Kalurians had been watching Earth for centuries, studying human development from afar. Lyra was a cultural scout, sent to observe human behavior up close without being detected. Her ship had malfunctioned, causing the crash. Jack helped Lyra gather materials she needed to repair her communication device, metal parts from his tool shed, some electronics from an old radio, and, oddly, certain types of crystals found in the park. He didn't understand how these things would help, but Lyra seemed to know what she was doing. Meanwhile, Lyra's leg healed with surprising speed. Her skin changed colors based on her mood. Light blue when she was happy, deep purple when concentrating, greenish when confused by human customs. Jack found himself fascinated by her intelligence and the gentle way she observed everything around her, with childlike wonder. On the 8th day, Jack returned to his cabin after a quick trip into town for supplies. He found Lyra sitting at his kitchen table, holding something in her hands. It was a beautiful pendant that seemed to be made of the same crystal material as her ship, but smaller and more refined. The pendant shifted colors just like Lyra's skin. "Jack," she said, looking up at him, "you have helped me greatly. Among my people, we give gifts to show thanks." She stood up and approached him. "Please accept this token of my gratitude." Before Jack could respond, Lyra reached up and placed the pendant around his neck. The moment it touched his skin, the crystal glowed brightly, pulsing with an inner light. Jack felt a warm sensation spread from the pendant throughout his body. Lyra's expression changed instantly from gratitude to shock. Her skin turned almost white, which Jack had never seen before. "What's wrong?" Jack asked, touching the glowing pendant. "Did I do something wrong?" "The pendant," Lyra whispered, her translator struggling with her rapid speech. "It has bonded to you." She took a step back, her large eyes even wider than usual. "According to my people's customs, we are now—" She paused, searching for the right word. "What you might call engaged." Jack stared at Lyra, his mouth open in shock. His hand touched the glowing pendant around his neck. "Engaged? Like marriage engaged?" he asked, his voice rising. "That can't be right. There must be some mistake." Lyra's blue skin darkened with what Jack was learning to recognize as embarrassment. "No mistake," she said through her translator. "The Soul Stone has chosen. It is rare honor." Jack walked in circles around his small cabin kitchen, running his hands through his dark hair. "But I didn't know. You can't just get engaged to someone without telling them what's happening." "I did not expect Stone to bond," Lyra explained, her large black eyes following his movements. "Most times Stone stays cold. Only bonds when souls are compatible." She pointed to the glowing pendant. "This has not happened with non-Kaelurian before. Never." Jack sat down heavily on a kitchen chair. "So this is like an accident?" "Not accident. Unexpected." Lyra's skin shifted to a gentle purple color. "Stone sees truth we cannot see, recognizes matching souls across different forms." Jack took a deep breath, trying to process this new information. Just a week ago, he had been a normal park ranger with a simple life. Now he was engaged to an alien he barely knew. "Can we undo it?" he asked hopefully. "Like, can I give it back?" Lyra's color darkened again. "Once bonded, Stone cannot be given to another." She hesitated. "But no one forces union. Choice still exists. Before Jack could ask more questions, Lyra's small communicator device on the table began to pulse with light. She moved quickly to it, her injured leg almost healed. "My signal reached my ship," she said, her voice showing excitement even through the mechanical translator. "They respond." Jack watched as Lyra spoke into the device in her native language, beautiful sounds like flowing water and musical chimes. After a few minutes, she turned back to him. "My people will come for me." 7 Earth days from now. Her color changed to a mix of blue and green that Jack couldn't interpret. "They expect me to bring you." "Bring me?" Jack's eyes widened. "To your planet?" "For binding ceremony," Lyra explained. "What you would call wedding." Jack stood up quickly, almost knocking over his chair. "Whoa, hold on, I'm not going to another planet to get married. I have a job here. A life." "I understand your fear," Lyra said softly. "This is not what either of us planned." She touched the pendant gently where it hung on Jack's chest. "But my people will be very interested in you now. First human to bond with Soulstone." Jack rubbed his face with his hands. "This is crazy, completely crazy." A knock at the door made them both freeze. Jack motioned for Lyra to hide in the bedroom while he went to answer it. When he opened the door, he found his best friend Sam standing there with a bag of groceries. "Hey, stranger," she said with a bright smile. "I heard you were sick, so I brought some soup and—" She stopped, looking at Jack's face. "What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." Jack hesitated. Sam was his oldest friend. They had known each other since college, and she now worked as a teacher at the local high school, teaching science and history. If there was anyone he could trust with this insane situation, it was Sam. "I need to show you something," he said, slowly. "But you have to promise not to freak out." "Okay," Sam said, looking confused. "I promise." Jack called for Lyra to come out. When she stepped into the living room, Sam dropped the grocery bag, sending cans rolling across the floor. "Holy," she whispered. That's an alien," Jack finished for her. "Her name is Lyra." After the initial shock wore off, Sam surprised Jack by handling the situation much better than he had. She asked Lyra dozens of questions about her world, her species, and their technology. Her background in science and anthropology made her fascinated rather than frightened. "So the necklace Jack is wearing," Sam said, pointing to the glowing pendant. "It's essentially a high-tech engagement ring." "Similar," Lyra agreed. "But it chooses, not us. Reads genetic patterns, brain waves, soul harmony. Cannot be forced." Sam looked at Jack with raised eyebrows. "So you're compatible with an alien from across the galaxy? That's actually pretty cool, Jack." "It's not cool," Jack argued. "Her people want me to go back to their planet for some binding ceremony. Like, leave Earth." Sam's eyes widened. "Are you serious? That's amazing. Do you realize what this means?" "That I'm in a huge mess," Jack suggested. "No, this could be first contact between our species," Sam explained excitedly. "Real diplomatic relations with an advanced alien civilization. You could be making history." Jack shook his head. "I'm not a diplomat. I'm just a park ranger who can barely talk to human women, let alone alien ones." Over the next few days while they waited for Lyra's rescue ship, Sam visited often. She helped Jack learn more about Lyra's culture and customs. The three of them sat in Jack's living room as Lyra explained her world. "Our planet orbits twin suns," she said, using salt and pepper shakers to demonstrate. "Cities built from crystal that grows naturally. We shape it with thought and special tools." "And everyone there can change colors like you?" Jack asked. "Yes. It is how we show feelings, sometimes even communicate without words." She demonstrated by shifting her skin to different shades and patterns. "Each pattern has meaning." Sam took careful notes. "This is incredible. The scientific advancements your people must have." "We have studied many species," Lyra said. "But humans interest us. You are a young race, but learn quickly. Have strong feelings. Create beautiful art. Jack noticed how Lyra had become fond of certain human things during her short stay. She loved watching cooking shows on TV, even though Kalurian food was very different. She enjoyed the taste of chocolate, which apparently didn't exist on her world. And strangest of all, she seemed fascinated by Jack's habit of humming while he worked around the cabin. Sound vibrations feel good, she explained when he caught her watching him fix a leaky faucet while humming an old country song. Your voice makes nice patterns in air. As the days passed, Jack grew more confused about his feelings. He was still shocked by the accidental engagement, but he also found himself enjoying Lyra's company. Her view of Earth made him see his own world differently. Simple things like rain falling on leaves or birds singing in the morning were amazing wonders to her. Your world is so wet, so alive, she told him one evening as they sat on his porch watching a thunderstorm. My world is beautiful too, but different. Drier, more crystal than plant. I can't leave Earth, Jack said quietly. I just can't. Lyra's skin turned a soft, sad blue. I understand. The stone may choose, but we still have free will. She touched the pendant that still hung around his neck. But know this. If you reject bond, my people may not return to Earth for many years. They will see it as sign our species not ready for connection. That's not fair, Jack said. Putting that kind of pressure on one person is how it has always been, Lyra replied. First bonds between worlds are important. Set tone for future. As the 7th day approached, Jack felt the weight of his decision growing heavier. The pendant around his neck seemed to pulse in time, with his heartbeat, a constant reminder of the choice he would soon have to make. On the 7th day, Jack woke up before sunrise. He hadn't slept well, his mind racing with thoughts about the Kalurian ship that would arrive today. Lyra was already awake, standing by the window and looking at the stars that were still visible in the early morning sky. They will be here soon, she said without turning around. Her skin was a pale blue color that Jack had come to recognize as nervousness. Where will they land? Jack asked, pouring himself a cup of coffee. He had called in sick to work again, telling his boss he needed more time to recover. There is clearing 2 miles north, Lyra explained. Big enough for small ship. They will use cloaking device so human technology cannot detect them. Sam arrived an hour later carrying a backpack full of supplies. She had been just as excited about the arrival as Lyra, but for different reasons. She saw this as a historic moment for humanity. I brought my camera, she said, pulling out a small digital camera from her bag. And a notebook. And some gifts. For the visitors. Do you think they'll like maple syrup? It seems very Earth-specific. Jack shook his head. We are not turning this into a tourist event, Sam. This is serious. The 3 of them hiked to the clearing Lyra had identified. It was a beautiful spot surrounded by tall pine trees with a small stream running along one edge. As they waited, Lyra's translator device began to beep. They are entering Earth atmosphere, she said. We'll be here in 10 minutes. Jack felt his heart beating faster. The pendant around his neck seemed to grow warmer. He touched it through his shirt, wondering again how this small crystal had complicated his life so much. What are your people like? He asked Lyra. The ones coming to get you? Commander Zeth leads rescue team, Lyra replied. He is respected scientist and explorer. Not used to. She paused, searching for the right word. Surprises. Before Jack could ask more questions, a strange sound filled the air. It was a low humming that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The air in the center of the clearing shimmered like heat waves rising from hot pavement. They're here, Lyra said, her skin brightening with excitement. The shimmering air slowly took shape, revealing a sleek vessel about the size of a small bus. It wasn't made of metal like human spacecraft. Instead, it looked like it was carved from a single piece of crystal, similar to Lyra's pod but larger and more complex. The crystal had a bluish tint that reminded Jack of Lyra's skin. A door appeared, in the side of the ship seeming to melt away rather than slide open. 7 tall figures stepped out and walked toward them. Jack and Sam stood frozen, watching the aliens approach. The Kalurians were all taller than Lyra, standing about 7 feet high. Their bodies were slender but strong-looking, with the same blue skin that changed colors slightly as they moved. They wore simple clothing that seemed to be made of a flowing metallic fabric. The one in front, who Jack assumed was Commander Zeth, spoke to Lyra in their musical language. Lyra responded, gesturing toward Jack and Sam. The commander then turned to face the humans. "I am Zeth," he said through a translator similar to Lyra's. His voice was deeper and the translation sounded clearer. "Leader of this expedition, we did not expect Lyra to find mate during her reconnaissance mission, especially not from undeveloped species." Jack felt his face grow hot at the word undeveloped. He stepped forward. "There's been a misunderstanding. I didn't know what the necklace meant when she gave it to me." To his surprise, this caused a ripple of what looked like laughter among the Kaelurians. Their skin flickered with patterns of light blue and green. "The Soulstone does not misunderstand," Zeth explained, his tone sounding almost amused even through the translator. "It reads genetic compatibility, psychological resonance, and potential for mutual growth. We have studied thousands of species across many star systems. Never has a stone bonded with a non-Kaelurian." He looked at Jack with his large black eyes. "Until now." Sam stepped forward, unable to contain herself any longer. "This is amazing. I'm Samantha Allen, Jack's friend. We're so honored to meet you. This is history in the making. First official contact between our species." The Kaelurians looked at Sam with interest. One of them, slightly shorter than Zeth, approached her. "I am Nari, cultural specialist," she said. "Your enthusiasm is refreshing. Most species fear first contact." "Oh, I'm sure plenty of humans would be afraid," Sam admitted. "But I've always believed we're not alone in the universe, and now I have proof." While Sam talked excitedly with Nari, Commander Zeth turned back to Jack and Lyra. His expression became more serious. "According to our traditions, you must return with us for the binding ceremony," he told Jack. "It is sacred ritual, thousands of years old." Jack felt a cold knot of fear in his stomach. "I can't just leave Earth. I have a job, responsibilities. People would notice I'm missing." "The ceremony must take place on Kaelurian soil," Zeth insisted. "It is our way." Jack looked at Lyra, hoping for support. To his relief, she stepped forward and spoke to Zeth in their language. The conversation seemed intense, with both of their skins changing colors rapidly. Finally, Lyra turned to Jack. "I have explained that forcing you to leave would be wrong. In Kaelurian culture, the bond can be ceremonially delayed for preparation." "Delayed?" Jack asked hopefully. "Yes," Zeth confirmed, though he didn't seem entirely happy about it. "Lyra makes valid point. You deserve time to understand what is happening, and she wishes to learn more of your world before you learn of hers." Jack felt some of the tension leave his body. "So I don't have to leave right now?" "We will remain on Earth for 1 month," Zeth declared. "During this time you will be educated about our culture and customs. We will also study humanity more closely." Sam could barely contain her excitement. "A month? That's fantastic. There's so much we can share and learn from each other." What Jack didn't realize was that this compromise was actually a diplomatic victory for Earth. The Kaelurians had never before considered humans worthy of serious study or extended contact. The Soulstone's unexpected bonding with Jack had opened, a door that might otherwise have remained closed for centuries. "Where will you all stay?" Jack asked, looking at the 7 tall aliens. "My cabin is barely big enough for Lyra and me. Our ship has living quarters," Zeth explained. "Most of us will remain there, but protocol requires that I and 2 others stay with the bonded pair to observe and document." Jack tried to imagine fitting 3 7-foot-tall aliens into his small cabin. "That's going to be a tight squeeze." "We also have technology to disguise ourselves," Nari added. "We can appear human when necessary." To demonstrate, her skin rippled and changed. Within seconds, she looked completely human. A tall woman with pale skin and silver blonde hair, but otherwise normal. "That's incredible," Sam whispered. "Perfect. Camouflage." "We have studied your species for many years," Zeth said. "We know your biology, your languages, your customs?" But this, he gestured to the pendant around Jack's neck. This is unexpected development. As they walked back toward Jack's cabin with 4 of the Kalurians returning to their ship, Jack felt like he was living in a dream. Just a week ago, he had been a normal park ranger with a simple life. Now he was hosting aliens and wearing an engagement necklace that connected him to a woman from another planet. The pendant pulsed warmly against his chest, as if reminding him that whatever happened next, things would never be the same again. Jack's small cabin quickly became very crowded. Commander Zeth and 2 other Kalurians, Nari and Talo, moved in with him and Lyra. Even with their ability to disguise themselves as humans, having 3 7-foot aliens in his home was a challenge. Your species spends much time on personal grooming, Zeth commented one morning, watching Jack brush his teeth. Yet you allow nature to grow wild in your protected areas. Contradictory. Jack spit into the sink. Not really. We take care of ourselves, but we also recognize that nature doesn't need our help to be beautiful. Zeth's skin rippled with light blue patterns that Jack had learned meant he was thinking deeply. Interesting perspective. After a week of living together, Jack had to return to work. He couldn't keep calling in sick without losing his job. This meant leaving the aliens alone in his cabin during the day, which made him nervous. Please don't. Leave the house unless you're using your human disguises, he told them before heading to work. And try not to talk to any neighbors. But Kalurians were naturally curious beings. By the end of Jack's first day back at work, Nari had reorganized his entire kitchen according to some alien system. Tilo had taken apart and reassembled his television to improve its picture quality, and Zeth had filled a notebook with observations about squirrels in the backyard. Jack's neighbor, Olivia Russo, became increasingly suspicious about his new relatives who had suddenly moved in. She brought over a welcome pie one evening, which led to an awkward interaction. I didn't know you had family visiting, Jack, Olivia said, looking past him into the house where Zeth, in human form, was examining the pie with scientific interest. Yeah, my cousins from out of state, Jack lied. They're staying for a month. How interesting, Olivia replied, watching as Nari picked up the garden hose outside with fascination. They seem to find ordinary things quite amazing. They're from Alaska, Jack said quickly. Very different lifestyle up there. Meanwhile, Lyra was becoming more human in her mannerisms. She had started wearing jeans and t-shirts when in human form, and had developed some very specific preferences. Every Saturday, she insisted they visit the local diner where she ordered the same meal, apple pie with vanilla ice cream. Sweet and cold together, she explained when Jack asked why she liked it so much. We have nothing like this on my world, Air. Soulstone necklace, which Jack continued to wear beneath his shirts, occasionally pulsed with warmth when he and Lyra were near each other. Despite his initial reluctance, Jack found himself looking forward to their evening conversations. They would sit on his porch after dinner, talking about the stars and the differences between their worlds. Tell me about your concept of time, Lyra asked one evening. Our twin suns make our days different from yours. Time is, Jack thought for a moment. It's complicated. We measure it carefully with clocks and calendars, but it still feels different depending on what you're doing. A boring hour feels longer than a fun hour, even though they're the same amount of time. Lyra's skin shimmered with interest. We have similar saying. Time flows with the heart, not with the suns. Jack smiled. I like that. It's true. One night, Jack showed Lyra some of his favorite music. He played old country songs on his small stereo, explaining the stories behind the lyrics. Lyra closed her eyes, her skin rippling with gentle patterns of blue and purple. Your music has mathematics in it, she said. Patterns and rhythms, but also feelings. We have something similar. Color songs. We create patterns with our skin that tell stories. She demonstrated by making her arm shift through beautiful swirls of color. This is simple poem about stars being born. It's beautiful, Jack said, watching the colors dance across her skin. Like nothing I've ever seen before. As the weeks passed, the Kalurians explored the small town near the park, always in their human disguises. Sam helped show them around, explaining human customs and behavior. They visited the grocery store, the library, and even went to a local baseball game, which completely confused them. "Why do they hit ball and run in circle?" Tilo asked. "What is purpose?" "It's just for fun," Sam explained. "Not everything has to have a deep purpose." This seemed to be a difficult concept for the aliens to understand. Their civilization was much older than humanity's, and over time they had eliminated activities they saw as without purpose. The idea of doing things purely for enjoyment was novel to them. One day Jack came home to find Lyra and Nari watching cooking shows on TV. They had become obsessed with the idea of human food and were attempting to make cookies in his kitchen. The result was a disaster of flour and burned dough, but Lyra seemed delighted by the experiment. "We do not cook on our world," she explained as Jack helped clean up the mess. "Our food is different, grown to be perfect already." "Sometimes, the imperfect things are the most fun," Jack said, wiping flour from her cheek. Their time together wasn't all easy. The pressure of keeping the aliens' true identity secret was stressful for Jack. He worried constantly about discovery, especially when strange government vehicles were spotted in town. Sam was the first to notice them. Black SUVs with tinted windows parked near the diner where they often took Lyra for pie. "Jack, I think someone might be onto us," she whispered one day. "There have been people asking questions in town about unusual atmospheric readings from the night Lyra crashed." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "Do you think they're from some government agency?" "Probably," Sam nodded. "We need to be careful." When they told Commander Zeth about the suspicious vehicles, his reaction was serious. His skin darkened to a deep blue, almost black. "If your government discovers us, it could be dangerous," he said. "For both our peoples. We're not prepared for official first contact." "But isn't that what's happening already?" Jack asked. "With me and Lyra and the Soulstone?" "This is different," Zeth explained. "This is personal connection, not political one. Official contact requires preparations, agreements between worlds. Your planet is not ready." The situation grew more tense when Jack's boss at the ranger station mentioned that scientists had requested permission to investigate strange readings in the north section of the park, exactly where Lyra had crashed. "They're saying it might have been a small meteor," his boss told him. "Want to check for radiation or something? You've been patrolling that area. Seen anything unusual?" Jack shook his head, hating the lie. Nothing out of the ordinary. That evening, as the group sat in Jack's living room discussing what to do, Lyra asked the question that had been hanging in the air for weeks. "Jack," she said quietly, "what will you do when our month is over? The soul stone still connects us." She gestured to the pendant that hung around his neck, glowing softly beneath his shirt. Jack touched the stone, feeling its familiar warmth. "I've been thinking about that a lot," he admitted. "If you reject the bond," Zeth said, "it would be understood. No human has faced this choice before. But it would likely mean our peoples would not connect again for many generations." Jack looked around the room, at Lyra, who had become so dear to him, at Zeth, stern but fair, at Nari and Talo, who found wonder in the simplest things on Earth. And he thought of what Sam had said about this being humanity's first real chance at contact with an advanced civilization. "What happens if I don't go through with this?" Jack asked Lyra directly. "The stone would eventually fade," she answered, her skin dimming to a deep blue that Jack now knew meant sadness. "And our peoples would likely not connect again for many generations. My kind sees rejection of a soul bond as indicative of deeper incompatibilities between species." The weight of the decision pressed down on Jack. He wasn't just deciding his own future anymore. In some strange way, he had become humanity's unofficial ambassador to an alien civilization. The weight of Jack's decision grew heavier with each passing day. Every time he touched the soulstone around his neck, a sense of warmth and connection washed over him. More than just physical. It was a bond that transcended words. Lyra had become more than a mysterious alien. She was someone who had shown him parts of the universe he had never imagined. Someone whose presence felt like it had always belonged by his side, but he had to face the harsh reality of what this bond meant. The longer they stayed on Earth, the more Jack realized that their time together was limited. Lyra's presence, and that of the Kalurians, had drawn enough attention from local authorities to put everyone at risk. But that wasn't the only thing weighing on him. There was still the matter of the Soulstone's bond, a decision that seemed impossibly complex. "What will you do, Jack?" Sam asked one evening as they sat together, the comforting hum of the diner around them. Her eyes held a hint of concern, but also a deep understanding. She'd been there with him since the beginning, through all the confusion and challenges. Jack rubbed the Soulstone, its warmth pulsing faintly against his skin. "I don't know, Sam. I've never been in a situation like this before. I never thought I'd be the one who has to decide something this big. It's not just about me and Lyra anymore. It's about what happens next, for all of us. You know what's at stake," Sam said softly. "If you don't choose her, if you turn your back on this, there's a chance humanity may never have a second shot at something this important." Jack didn't answer immediately. He had heard the same thing from Commander Zeth and the other Kalurians. The prospect of losing the connection forever weighed on him. And yet, as much as the thought of rejecting the bond terrified him, he couldn't ignore the risk that it posed not only to him, but to Earth as a whole. Later that night, after a quiet dinner with the Kalurians and Lyra, Jack found himself outside on his porch staring at the stars. The connection between him and Lyra pulsed softly in the background of his thoughts. He couldn't shake the feeling that the universe was calling to him, urging him to make a decision, to act on what his heart seemed to already know. "Lyra," Jack said, turning to face her as she joined him on the porch. "I've been thinking about everything, about what this bond means, not just for me, but for Earth too. What happens if I accept it?" Lyra's eyes shimmered with a complex mix of emotions, hope, fear, and something that resembled a quiet longing. She stepped closer, her hand gently brushing against his as the warmth from the Soulstone seemed to grow stronger. "If you accept it, Jack, it would mean more than just an agreement between two individuals. It would symbolize the unity of our worlds. It would mean a new chapter, one where our species could finally understand each other, truly." She paused, searching his face for signs of doubt. "But if you don't accept it, we will never have this chance again. The connection will fade, and it may be generations before our peoples meet again, if at all." Jack looked up at the stars, his mind racing. The future of humanity, his future, and the future of a relationship with someone who was, in many ways, a stranger from another world. All of it was hanging in the balance. "I don't want to lose this, Lyra," Jack finally said. His voice was firm, but there was a quiet sorrow in his words. "I don't want to lose you, but this is bigger than us. This is about both our worlds. If I say yes, what does that mean for Earth? Will humanity be ready for everything that comes with it?" Lyra smiled softly, her skin glowing with gentle swirls of blue and purple. "We will guide you, Jack, but the decision is yours. You must listen to your heart and the future you wish to create." In that moment, everything felt crystal clear. The weight of the decision was still there, but now it was balanced with something else. Hope. Jack knew he couldn't make this decision lightly, but he also knew that no matter what, it was a choice that would forever change everything.